And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about Max Scherzer and his setback for the Texas Rangers, plus just a little bit of an outlook for this team. I want to talk about them, and I kind of had an excuse to now with Max Scherzer having a setback and in his rehab. So I want to talk about that and then just kind of shift the conversation further to this overall Rangers team. So yeah, definitely excited to talk about that. So with the Rangers right now, I did want to talk about Scherzer and his effect on the team. So Lincoln Scherzer right now, he did have a setback in his rehab. To get it specifically, Chris Young, who is the Rangers general manager, said that Max Scherzer has been shut down from throwing for a few days as he still has the thumb and forearm issue. There is no timetable, but Young said that Scherzer won't throw again until any tightness / discomfort is gone. So basically, he's not pitching until he's healthy, which is completely understandable. And I do agree with this decision by the Rangers. Now, Scherzer has been someone that obviously has been plagued by injuries in the past few years. We saw it with the Mets. We saw it last year with the Rangers, even after being there for a half a season, and now not pitching this season. I think him coming back could be a big deal for the Rangers and really help them out. But so far, obviously, it is not going well for his rehab. With Scherzer right now, he did have the forearm issue, which is the reason why he's out for the whole season so far, and is going to come back probably a few weeks or maybe even a month later. So with Scherzer, I think him coming back is going to help this Rangers team a lot. They've had a lot of pitching injuries. Of course, you have Jacob deGrom, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy, probably the best pitcher in baseball when healthy, I'd probably say now. Very excited to see him back on the bump, especially as a Mets fan. I still do kind of miss him, but nothing I can do about it now. He's gone, so just excited to watch deGrom bump day again whenever he is back, and just watch him back when he is on the mound and pitching well. So that's something I'm excited about. But for Scherzer, I think when you look at all these pitching injuries, himself included, deGrom, Tyler Mahle, getting Scherzer back is going to be a huge upgrade for this Rangers team. You have a lot of good players in this rotation, yes, but none of them are really, I'd say, up to the level of a fully healthy Scherzer is. Now, Scherzer in 2024 isn't the same guy as he was in 2019, 2020. Yes. Has he dealt with some regression in these past few years? Absolutely. We've 100% seen it. I mean, it's been very obvious, especially, again, as someone who is a Mets fan. I watched him for 2 years in Queens, was definitely regressing towards the end of it. Only has 1 year left in the Rangers contract, so I think if he continues to regress, he might be out of there, quote unquote. So it's going to be very interesting to watch Scherzer and end up seeing what happens with him and this Rangers team. But I think bringing him back would be a big help to this rotation. Someone I didn't mention on the injured list was Nathan Eovaldi. He did start for the Rangers this year healthy, but just went on the injured list around a week ago. So that's another big impact for the Rangers rotation. Overall, what I'm saying is Scherzer needs to come back and be a big help to the rotation. I mean, you're relying on guys now like John Gray, Dane Dunning, Andrew Heaney, who are just not guys you want to particularly rely on when you're in a division race. This Rangers team right now, they're first in the AL West with the Astros really struggling. Half game above, they're 22-17. Next closest team is the Mariners, who is, again, half game behind them. So I think that overall it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Rangers team and what is going to end up just overall becoming of them for this season. There's a lot of question marks with them, but the one thing that's not a question mark, as we all know of, is their offense. I mean, man, oh man, this offense is good. It's so good. There's so much sheer amount of talent on this team. Jonah Heim, Nathaniel Lowe, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Josh Young, who is hurt, but when there is very great. You have Robbie Grossman, you just acquired, who is a good depth piece, Leody Taveras, Dolis Garcia, Wyatt Langford, who is hurt and was underperforming, but still ended up being still is a player I'm very high on for the future. Evan Carter, I'm not sure if I mentioned him, but yeah, he's doing well. Dolis Garcia, as I mentioned. So there's a lot of talent for this Rangers offense, and that is mainly the reason why people aren't too worried for this pitching staff and what's happening with them right now. I mean, they won the World Series last year as well, so it's not like they're just some bum team that kind of, is figuring it out. But yeah, overall with the Rangers, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them this year. The AL West is very, very different from past years. I mean, the Astros, of course, we talked about them. They're in last place in the AL West, and it's not last place for the first week of the season. No, they're in last place by a game and a half, and they're 12-24. like, it's a big difference for the AL West in the past, So I think that's something to look at. The Mariners are still a really good team, but they do have some offensive question marks. The A's, I don't believe in the A's still. I'm sorry. I understand they've been doing well. They've been doing good, but at the same time, I just don't believe in them still. That the A's, it's just maybe it's a psychological thing where it's like the A's cannot be good, and after all the crap they've gone through with their franchise and their organization and their teams, so maybe it's just that. But overall, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Rangers do approach the rest of the season and what does end up happening with them. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Scherzer. He's obviously not the same Max Scherzer we've known from past years, but he still is a quality pitcher, still is a guy that when he's on the mound is very good, is an intimidating presence, has that pedigree, has that name. Even if he becomes washed up in his later years or even is washed up this year when he comes back, there's still going to be that level of respect that comes with a name like Max Scherzer, a first ballot Hall of Famer, a 3-time Cy Young winner, one of the greatest pitchers in the history of baseball. I don't think I'm stepping on any toes by saying that. So there is that with the Rangers, and I think just getting more pitching depth back is very helpful. It's going to be interesting to see what Scherzer looks like when he comes back. It's going to be super interesting to see what happens when DeGrom comes back. I'm very interested in Tyler Mahle. That's another guy I think is going to be a big part of this Rangers team when he does come back. So, yeah, just overall very excited to watch this team and very interested to just see what does end up happening with them and just to end up watching them in general. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting storyline for the rest of this year with Texas, seeing what happens with their pitching, seeing what happens with their overall core, and where they do finish in the AL West. That's something that, again, I'm very intrigued to see. It's one of the most interesting storylines all of baseball this year, and just super excited. I mean, the Rangers could be on a World Series hangover, quote-unquote. They're not right now. I mean, they're not playing maybe as great as some people expected them, but they're still doing well. They're still first in that division, so, I mean, that's really nothing to cough at. One thing I'm really interested, though, in is Wyatt Langford. Again, if you've watched the show for a little while now, you know that I am huge on Wyatt Langford. I think he is one of the premier prospects in baseball. He's going to be a future superstar in this league. I love his hitting. I love his offensive prowess. I love just how he approaches the bats. I think he's an elite prospect, and that was a guy I was expecting to help this Rangers team a lot. And I looked at this Rangers team preseason, and I was like, they're not that good. Their rotation, just lost Jordan Montgomery. They lost Jordan Montgomery, which is a big loss. Max Scherzer was hurt. DeGrom was hurt. Tyler Mahle was hurt. I was like, this rotation's pretty overrated. This offense is great, but I don't like the rotation. I don't really like the bullpen. I'm just not that high in them. But I thought about it more, and I did end up putting them in my playoff predictions video. I had them as either the 5th or 6th seed of the American League. And the reason I did that was a lot because of Wyatt Langford and this young hitting core. You have him. You have Evan Carter. You had Josh Young before he got hurt. Nathaniel Lowe. I don't know if Adolis Garcia is considered young at this point, but you had him. You have him. So I think that the point I'm trying to make for the Rangers right now is I think their offensive core has to be so good that it doesn't matter what the pitching is like, because I don't think it's going to be that good this season. I think it's already been pretty rough, so it's just going to be an interesting thing that I am going to follow and end up going to see for this season. So, definitely something that is interesting to follow. Again, the Rangers are a very intriguing team, a team that I'm following a lot throughout the season. Is going to be very, very, very I don't want to keep saying interesting or intriguing, but basically that for the rest of the season. Someone I'm really looking at that could either surprise a lot of people or kind of go down in flames. So they're going to have a very interesting season, and there's a lot of good teams in the AL this year, and it'll be interesting to see where they do end up finishing for this year. So that is my third segment here, talking about the Texas Rangers, plus the Max Scherzer setback for this team. We'll be going to our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about just some general news stories around the league and some stuff I want to talk about. So, we're going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.